Hello, I'm Deacon Laura from Orchard United Methodist Church. Our mission is to transform the world by growing in faith, serving others, and sharing Jesus. Orchard United Methodist Church is a community of faith that believes Jesus taught us to value and respect the humanity and holiness of all persons of any race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, age, ability, social, and economic circumstance. We celebrate the diversity of our community. We welcome and invite all persons to join us in the full life of our church on our journey toward a closer relationship with God. Welcome to LGBTQ 101. We offer this presentation for our church community and others who want to understand the terms and concepts used by the LGBTQ community. It was inspired by a video on YouTube by Margalit Schindler. Thank you, Margalit. Our premise. This educational offering is based on the understanding that the queer community is here, worthy of love and acceptance, and important enough for us to do our best to learn how to understand and be respectful. LGBTQIAA+. What do all these letters mean? Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, ally. The plus is there because there are more terms than this, but for this course, we will concentrate on the ones you see here. A good place to start is by understanding that the words used by the queer community typically describe one or more of these aspects of identity. This image of the genderbread person helps show that gender identity is how we feel inside our minds. Gender expression is how we show ourselves to the world. Biological sex is the parts we are born with. And sexual orientation is who we are attracted to. This image was designed by Sam Killerman and is available to be shared on the website itspronouncedmetrosexual.org. We are going to go over each of these aspects of identity. But first, we need to understand that everything is a spectrum. It used to be that all we had were two little boxes to fit people into, the girl box and the boy box. But that is just not reality. It never has been. We have just been trying to fit people into these little boxes for so long that it is hard to change. Each of these four traits, sexual orientation, who we are attracted to, gender identity, how we feel inside, biological sex, the parts we are born with, and gender expression, how we show ourselves to the world, are really spectrums with endless varieties along a line or a bar instead of two little binary boxes. The first aspect of identity we are going to learn about is sexual orientation. This is who a person is attracted to. One end of the spectrum is heterosexual, someone who is attracted to the opposite gender. Men who are attracted to women, and women who are attracted to men. The other end of that spectrum is homosexual, someone who is attracted to the same gender. Women who are attracted to women, and men who are attracted to men. Within that spectrum exist both bisexual and pansexual, which both mean attraction to multiple genders. The prefix bi means two, so often the term bisexual refers to a person who is attracted to both women and men. The prefix pan means all, So the word pansexual is often used by someone who wants to express attraction to all genders. Let's apply it. The aspect of sexual orientation includes the following words on our list. Lesbian is typically used for a woman who is attracted to women. The word gay refers to men who are attracted to men, although it can often be used to refer to women too. Bisexual means people who are attracted to multiple genders, and asexual refers to a person who does not experience sexual attraction at all. That is hard for some people to understand, but it is part of the spectrum. The next aspect of identity we are going to learn about is biological sex. These are the physical parts people are born with. One end of the spectrum is biologically male, typically determined by the presence of testes, a penis, and higher amounts of testosterone. The other end of the spectrum is biologically female, usually determined by the presence of a uterus, ovaries, a vagina, and higher levels of estrogen. On the spectrum in between male and female is intersex. This term is used for someone who has reproductive or sexual anatomy that does not fit typical definitions of male and female. This occurs in 1.7% of births. 1 in 2,000 births can cause enough concern for a doctor to suggest unnecessary surgery, usually done under the age of 2. Advocates are now trying to prevent surgeries from happening without the patient's consent. Let's apply it. The I in LGBTQIAA+ stands for intersex and includes an entire spectrum of physical, hormonal, and chromosomal differences that do not fit typical definitions of male or female. The third aspect of identity we are going to learn about is gender identity. This is the way someone feels their gender inside. One end of the scale is masculine or male. The other end of the spectrum is feminine or female. If you have never encountered this concept before, it may be hard for you to wrap your head around. It may help to think of extremes. Do you see yourself as a girly girl? What does that mean? Do you see yourself as a manly man? What does that mean? Some people don't experience gender at all. They are called agender. The prefix a means not, so not a gender. Some people are somewhere between female and male, or outside the spectrum altogether, and they are called non-binary or genderqueer. One of the big ways we recognize someone's gender identity is by using the correct pronouns. Pronouns are placeholders for a person's name in a sentence. Traditionally, she, her, and he, him were the only singular pronouns a person could use. Now there are people who feel the singular they, them suits them better, or they use neopronouns like sie, zer, or sie, zer. Those last two sets are essentially the same, except they are spelled differently. Using they, them as singular pronouns can sound very confusing and can be very difficult to remember at first, but it is important to note that this is a weakness of the English language. People are doing the best they can with the words they have available to them. In the Finnish language, there is only one singular pronoun, han, H-A-N, which means anyone, man or woman or anything in between. We could all switch to speaking Finnish, but it's probably easier to just learn to use they, them. Some people change their pronouns once in their life. Others change many times. While it can be an adjustment, try thinking about it like a new married name, something that better reflects who they are. We all know people who have changed their last names through multiple marriages. Each time, we all learn the new name and use it. We can do the same with pronouns. When your gender identity matches your biological sex, you are cisgender. When your gender identity doesn't match your biological sex, you may identify as transgender. Transgender is often shortened to trans. The prefixes cis and trans come from Latin. Cis means on this side of, and trans means on the other side of. I picture a street. If you are born a female and identify as a female, you are cisgender on one side of the street. If you are born a female but identify as a male, you may choose to cross to the other side of the street and become a transgender male. Imagine for a moment what it must be like to feel a different gender inside your mind than what your body looks like. This is called gender dysphoria. This is very often an extremely difficult and uncomfortable state of being, and is one of the reasons queer people can be at an increased risk of suicide. Gender dysphoria can begin at a very early age, as most children realize the physical differences between boys and girls by age 2, and can easily label themselves as a boy or girl by age 3. Because of gender dysphoria, trans people sometimes access healthcare services in order to make their body match more closely to how they feel inside, such as gender-affirming hormones like estrogen or testosterone, and gender-affirming surgeries, a double mastectomy or top surgery, or gender reconstruction, which is called bottom surgery. It is important to note that people have done this for decades. Many people go to plastic surgeons or other practitioners and have facelifts, chin implants, tummy tucks, hair implants, cosmetic dentistry, and more, all in the interest of making the outside of their bodies match how they feel inside. Please note, it is never okay to ask someone what medical care they might have sought to affirm their gender. That is very private. It is also important to realize that the transition period between one identity and another may be a long one, full of many changes. It is important to be respectful and compassionate as a person goes through these changes. Let's apply it. The T in LGBTQ stands for trans and means someone whose gender identity does not match their biological sex. The fourth aspect of identity we are learning about is gender expression. This is how someone demonstrates or shows their gender to the outside world. This can include clothes, hair, makeup, and more. Everyone, cisgender or transgender, has gender expression. Gender expression varies considerably as you look at different cultures and also across time periods. It used to be, for example, men who wore wigs, makeup, and high-heeled shoes. Think about how you present yourself to the world. How do you express your gender? Gender expression is explored as an art form by drag queens and drag kings. Please remember that gender expression operates somewhat independently from gender identity and sexual orientation, so you cannot assume, based on someone's appearance, that you know where they identify on those spectrums. A couple more terms. The first Q in LGBTQIAA+ stands for queer. Queer is an umbrella term. It is used to describe anyone who identifies as a gender or sexual minority. If you are some or all of the words in the acronym, you can claim queer. It used to be that the word queer was a slur, and many older people today have trouble using it. Most of the LGBTQ community uses the word queer comfortably, and it is generally okay to use it. However, it is important to be sensitive to particular geographical differences, such as a local high school, in which the word is still seen and used as a slur. If you have questions about how you should refer to a person close to you, ask which word is meaningful to them, and use that one. The second Q in LGBTQIAA+ stands for questioning. This means people who are still figuring out their identity. This may take some time and trying things out for a while, enough to realize that something doesn't fit or feel right, and then trying something else, like pronouns. The remaining A in LGBTQIAA+ stands for ally. An ally is a non-queer person who loves and supports the queer community. If you are not already, I hope you will consider becoming one. Coming out is what the queer community calls it when you tell people about a new identity you hold. It can be a vulnerable and scary time for the queer person. Your job as their loved one is to affirm how much you care about them, say that you are glad they told you, and that you will work to learn about this new identity so you can know your loved one better. When a loved one comes out to you, you may be taken by surprise or not understand everything right away. It's okay to take time to process any difficult feelings you have with someone you trust, or even a counselor or therapist. Please do not process your feelings with the loved one who came out to you. They have their own issues to handle. Old words. There are some words that we don't say anymore. Please do your best to use words you learned today. Instead of transvestite, tranny, or transgenders in a plural form, please use transgender or trans. Instead of hermaphrodite, please use the word intersex. The word hermaphrodite comes from mythology and describes a being with a fully formed penis as well as a fully formed vagina, which is a physical impossibility, and also suggests that people born intersex are some kind of monster. Intersex people are just in a different place on the biological sex spectrum than biological males and females. Takeaway. I hope the biggest takeaway from this presentation is to respect people, respect pronouns, respect chosen names, respect someone's appearance, and respect their choice in partners. I would like to challenge you with the following questions. How can we use what we've learned to support our family members, our church community? How can we stand in solidarity with queer and trans people in our state and nation? Thank you very much for watching this presentation.